Hey there, welcome to AI Search for Wedding Pros, and huge thank you to Wedding Venue Map for inviting me to guest teach on this special session about what might be the future of search. We're going to talk about that in this presentation. We're going to talk about what's going on right now with search and how it is being influenced by AI tools in the wedding industry. I'm so excited to talk to you about this new frontier and guide you through some actionable things that you can do easily without technical knowledge to improve your chances of showing up on AI search tools. Let's get to it. My name is Sara Dunn, and I'm your wedding industry search engine optimization gal. I love studying how engaged couples search online and helping wedding professionals to show up higher in organic searches, those searches that help us get found for free through search tools. I am based in both Michigan and Florida, so I spend the winter in Central Florida, right near you, and I'm recording from my Florida office today. Over the last 8 years of working with wedding professionals, I have gotten to work with over 4,300 wedding SEO clients and students, and my team and I track and analyze over 1 million free website visits a year for our clients. Now, my last slide mentioned SEO, and that's how I've become known, but I'd like to introduce you to a brand new acronym today, and that acronym is GEO. That is what we're going to be talking about in today's presentation, and I never like to get too far in a presentation before making sure we're on the same page with definitions, so this won't be scary. Let's go ahead and dig into what this means. GEO stands for Generative Engine Optimization. Basically, this is our ability as website owners and business owners to influence if your business shows up in AI search recommendations. Now, when I talk about AI search tools, a lot of times I'm going to talk about ChatGPT, and I'm going to show ChatGPT examples because that's still the most widely adopted AI tool, especially among consumers that just use an AI tool as an assistant in their everyday life. But other AI tools do include tools like Claude, Gemini, Perplexity, Grok, and Google's AI overviews. Now, those are a lot of options. The other thing that I want to say is that while I keep talking about GEO as the practice of influencing these results, there's a lot of other ways that people out there are talking about this way that we as business owners influence the results. So you might also hear the terms AEO, AI SEO, LLM SEO. All of these things really mean the same thing. It's us trying to get our businesses recommended by these AI search tools. And here's what I mean. I want to show you this screenshot over on the right side of my screen. Let's imagine that an engaged person is going to an AI tool like ChatGPT, and they're asking it questions to get assistance in their wedding planning process. Maybe they say something like this: I want to do a small destination wedding in Orlando so we can honeymoon at Disney right after. Where do I start with planning? You can see how that's kind of a detailed and nuanced question with a few different factors here. This person isn't necessarily just typing in one particular vendor they need, or generally just typing in the search tool Orlando wedding. They are telling the tool they want to have a small wedding. It's a destination wedding. They are into Disney, and they need to start their planning process. So there's actually a lot of different factors here, and the way that people interact with their AI tools, the searches they do, the questions they ask, they're so much more detailed than what we're used to with traditional search engines. So this is what makes GEO really, really interesting. The idea of if someone asks this question and you somehow do provide services for small destination weddings in Orlando, how can you get your business to become part of this conversation? How can you get ChatGPT to mention that this is something that you help with or that you'd be the perfect vendor? That is what we're trying to do here, because people do really trust that their AI tools know a lot of things and have a lot of information, whether they really should or not. So we're starting to see this happen But I want to give you a little note of caution before we go even further. It is really fun, new, and exciting to talk about AI search. It is brand new. It's something that we've never had as an opportunity before. That's probably why you clicked play on this video. But there's a lot of hype online that wants to make you believe that AI search is all people are doing anymore, and that everyone has left traditional search tools like Google and they're just relying on ChatGPT. And that is absolutely not the case in the wedding industry. Trust me, we are looking at thousands of visits for our clients every single month, and we can see where the website traffic actually comes from. And here's an actual example from Google Analytics for one of our planner clients. This was over a 3-month period. Google brought their website the most traffic out of any source, and it was by a lot. 21,000 visitors came to this website from Google over this 3-month period. 655 came to this website from Bing. This is Microsoft's search engine, and I think we all laugh at Bing like nobody uses it. But check it out, 655 visits. That is more than came to this website from ChatGPT. So only 320 people were driven to this website from ChatGPT in 3 months, and that's only 1% of this website's traffic. So getting found on AI tools is not the only way to connect with clients. It's not even the best way. It's just a new, interesting, additive way. So I don't want you to put all of your eggs into the AI search basket and ignore the huge opportunity that still exists in traditional search. Okay? Promise me, send me a DM, promise me that you will still focus on traditional SEO and the opportunities there. The good news is what I'm going to teach you in this presentation later is going to benefit you on both traditional search and AI-based search tools. That is exactly what I do and how I guide my clients and students. So we know we're not going to ignore traditional search, but it's okay to get excited about AI search because I am seeing it consistently for my clients and students that AI search is really working as a way to connect engaged couples with their wedding professionals. And here's how I know it's really happening. This is how I know couples are using ChatGPT and AI tools for vendor recommendations. It's because I work in search for wedding pros every day, and we see it in inquiry forms and we're seeing it in booking sources. So let me show you what I have on the screen. I've got a couple inquiry examples from wedding planner clients. We had a wedding planner client that forwarded us an inquiry form that they got, and they said, this AI search thing is working because here's what the person said. How did you learn about us? ChatGPT. And then the message said, looking to possibly do our wedding at my parents' property. I saw on ChatGPT that you specialize in this. That was awesome. We were so excited when we got this because we've tried to make it very clear that this planner is a specialist in backyard tented weddings. And that information is really coming through when people are looking for that kind of specialty. We're also seeing it in more simple ways, like this inquiry form for a planner. How did you find us? ChatGPT. And the message is micro wedding. Now, we're also seeing wedding SEO bootcamp students sharing more about their actual bookings that are coming from ChatGPT. We had a student come into our insiders group and she said, I just had a bride book me after finding me on ChatGPT. And you can see all the detailed information that this person was asking their AI tool for. I love that photographer asked the client this question, what did you ask for on ChatGPT? And here's what she said. She gave it her wedding date, her venue, the city she's getting married in. She said she wanted a photographer with lots of reviews, who works with camera-shy couples, and whose style is whimsical, joyful, and artistic. So look how many criteria that was. And then my student's business showed up as a recommendation and it led to a booking. Finally, in the bottom right corner, we have a photographer who sent me an Instagram message that said, I booked a bride that found me on ChatGPT. And this person was actually searching for a photographer who had experience in Catholic weddings. So we're seeing people come through ChatGPT search that are wanting really specific things. And that's why it's really important that we're making it clear on your website, your listings, what you do, what your specialties are, and what's really special about you. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Now, I want to call out the tricky part about GEO and optimizing for AI-based searches. We don't actually know what people are typing into ChatGPT. If you remember my example on the prior slide, that photographer who got booked from ChatGPT, she had to ask the client what she had actually given to ChatGPT for her in order to show up. And that's really the only way that we can get any sort of data on what people are typing into ChatGPT. There isn't a tool that actually tells us what people are typing into ChatGPT, unlike with Google. With Google, there are tools, and I can tell you that there are 2,400 searches every single month for Orlando wedding venues. But with ChatGPT, the searching is very personal. It's very different every time. And a lot of times the results are also different every time it's searched. So what we're trying to do with GEO is just get your business recommended more often. It's not something that we can track as far as rankings the way we have with Google. We just have to get your business recommended more often for more relevant searches. So let's go ahead and dig in to a little bit of a how does it work. And I want you to know you don't have to really understand this in order to get your business recommended or to follow the instructions that I'm about to give you. But I know a lot of you are like, that you want the details, you want the nitty gritty, you want to understand the how. So on this slide, I'm going to walk through really quickly how a ChatGPT search actually works and why that's very different than the way that a traditional search engine works. So here we go. Step number one, the user asks ChatGPT for something. So let's imagine someone goes to ChatGPT and they ask for a wedding florist in Florida who offers local eco-friendly wedding flowers. Let's imagine that is step number one. What happens next is that ChatGPT sometimes chooses to search the web for live information. I was just doing test searches this morning and I was doing it on a logged out incognito browser. The problem was ChatGPT did not choose to search the web live. It actually chose to use its own training data, and unfortunately, it actually made up the answer. So this really depends on if you're logged in, if you're using the latest model, if you have a paid account, what happens when ChatGPT goes to answer the question. But more and more often, we are seeing that ChatGPT chooses to search the web because the tool has learned that that's how it gets the best answers. Now, here's the most important piece. ChatGPT doesn't just search one thing, doesn't just look for the answer to one question when it chooses to search the web. And this is what makes it really different than a traditional search. ChatGPT does something that we nerds call fan out queries. It actually runs multiple searches when you ask for something so that it can gather a lot of information really, really quickly. So in my example, someone who wants a wedding florist in Florida for local eco-friendly wedding flowers, ChatGPT might run one search for Florida wedding florist. It might run another search for Florida wedding farm. It might run another search for what are sustainable wedding flowers. So it can run dozens of different searches to try to bring in as much information as possible. Now, when it's searching, It is searching in a lot of different places. It's always changing and we don't really know, but sometimes it sources information from its own list of web pages. Sometimes it uses Bing's list of web pages. So that's Microsoft's search engine. And sometimes it gets data from trusted data partners like news sites. That happens a lot less in the wedding industry for searches, but it's searching in multiple places. And finally, here's what's interesting. ChatGPT actually synthesizes the answer based on all the sources it reviewed. So I told you it's doing dozens of searches and then it's looking for commonalities. Are there certain pieces of advice that come up a lot? Are there certain wedding professionals that are consistently recommended in multiple results? That is something that ChatGPT notices and very, very quickly brings together into one synthesized answer. Okay. The last thing I want to point out about this process is the little screenshot in my bottom right corner. If you see this little link that says sources with a few icons, that indicates to you that ChatGPT did actually live search the web. And if you click that sources link, you can actually see the sources that it referenced in the multiple searches to synthesize into your answer. So that can be really good information for you about where ChatGPT is getting the information that it synthesizes from. All right, that is the nerdy bit. And I promise we can move on now beyond the how into the what you need to do. You know I don't love spending a lot of time on theory before we start taking action. So in the rest of this presentation, I want to walk you through 4 steps you can take right now to improve your chances of showing up on ChatGPT. So these are things that we do in GEO that can really help these AI-based search tools better understand your business. And what's cool about this is none of these steps are going to require advanced technical knowledge. It is really just about things that you can put out on the internet to better explain your business. Let's do it. Action step number 1 might feel really simple and obvious, but it's really the most important thing that I can tell you. So we're going to talk about it anyway. So step number 1, if you want to appeal to AI search tools, is to use text to explain what you do. And I'm mostly talking about text on your website. This is the easiest place for you to control information about your business. It is also the most authoritative place that search tools look for more information about your business. So here's what I want you to know. All search engines love written content. Whether it's Google, ChatGPT, or another AI-based tool, written information is the clearest and easiest information for these tools to understand quickly, pull into their database, and possibly rewrite and put into the search results. So written content is really, really important to search tools. And I know in the wedding industry, so many pros love to make their websites really image heavy and let the work speak for itself. But I want to encourage you, as much as possible in your design, try to incorporate more written text. You can make it look good. You can break it up into multiple sections because text is really what you need if you want an AI tool to understand your business. Now, what do you write? I recommend that you really pay attention to the language that your favorite clients use to describe you and your business, because that's probably the same type of phrase that they are typing into their AI tools. They're going to go to ChatGPT and they're going to say those things like, I'm looking for a Michigan wedding photographer for wedding photography that's kind of artistic and really beautiful. Whatever those words are, the adjectives, I want you to pay attention. And if there's any way you can ask how someone would actually describe your work if they were looking for it, that can be really, really helpful. So on the screen right here, I actually have an example of a pretty well optimized paragraph for SEO and GEO. It says, Olive Tree Studios is your Michigan wedding photographer for photos that feel natural, feel light, and capture the joy of every moment. So the reason this is a great sentence for GEO is it includes the name of the business, so Olive Tree Studios, and then it says is, and then it gives the keyword. That kind of sentence structure is really preferred by AI tools. It's easy for them to take that sentence and basically put it right into their results. Hey, Olive Tree Studios is a Michigan wedding photographer. So I recommend having a sentence like that somewhere on the homepage of your website, maybe the footer of your website, because it's really, really helpful. And you'll notice it does have that main keyword phrase. We're still talking a little bit about keywords because Michigan wedding photographer, that might be one of the searches that an AI tool is doing as part of the fan out query process. So I still want to see you focus on your keywords. Now, after this is another important sentence that we would put in for GEO purposes. Based in Michigan and serving Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, and Traverse City, we specialize in artistic wedding photography that is unhurried, unobtrusive, and simply beautiful. The reason this sentence is really helpful for GEO is it says where the business is based. It lists a few key markets or places that they serve. So if someone was asking a follow-up question, hey, does Olive Tree Studios come to Grand Rapids? That would be an easy yes. And again, it includes those kind of descriptive adjectives like artistic wedding photography. You might also use phrases, maybe, documentary or some other way to describe your actual service that would really appeal to your favorite clients. So use text to explain what you do, who you do it for, what your style is, and the areas you serve really, really clearly. That's step number 1. Now, as part of this process, there's one specific type of written text that I really want to recommend in the age of AI search, and that is frequently asked questions. This is a really easy way to get more explanatory text on your main pages of your website without having to write a lot of salesy, kind of flowery marketing language. FAQs are really effective for AI search tools because they answer the questions that engaged couples may ask the AI tool as a follow-up question. So we are really liking right now adding FAQs to key services pages, maybe the about page. Any page that we are optimizing specifically for SEO, we like to answer the frequently asked questions about that service. Of course, this doesn't really work as well on the homepage. We don't tend to do it there, but for specific pages we're creating for SEO and GEO, we absolutely do. So the example on the screen is a page that was created about a venue's micro wedding packages. And as part of optimizing for that term, we did FAQs on micro weddings. Things like, what days can I book a micro wedding? How many guests can we have? May we bring our own vendors? Do I need to schedule a tour? And will there be another wedding the same day? Answer those questions that are relevant to the keyword that you're optimizing for or the topic of the page, and that can really help you get more text on page and appeal to AI search tools. Step number 2 is to prove your experience in words. So I want you to really think about how you can show an AI tool that you're one of the most experienced professionals at your service. One of the things we found through our AI search testing is that ChatGPT loves to cite how experienced each company is. Keep in mind that a lot of times an AI tool is actually a comparison and decision tool, not just a search tool that presents options. An AI tool is actually trying to help the user make a decision, come to a conclusion, and really decide what they're going to do. So when multiple professionals are presented in ChatGPT's results, sometimes it tries to pull out why some are recommended over others. And one of its favorite things to cite is your amount of experience. So I want you to make it really clear. If you are very experienced in your business, I want you to make it really clear with the words that you use how experienced you are. First, you can include when your business was started or your number of years of experience. So maybe you say something like planning weddings since 2020 or Like the example I have on the screen, wedding officiant with 40 unions celebrated. You can talk about how many weddings you've done or how many years of experience you have. 10 years of experience, 15. So include some information about how much experience you have. The other thing that we've really been liking to do is to actually make your awards and features really, really clear for your business. I bet a lot of you right now have a section of your homepage that has awards and features badges. It says featured in, and then maybe you're showing the wedding venue map logo or the Mappy Awards or Best of Weddings Awards or other publications that have featured you. Instead of just putting the badge on your website, here's something we've been doing recently that I'm really recommending. And that's actually writing out those awards and features. The reason is because it's easier for AI tools to understand written words than to try to pull context from the images on your page. So we've been writing things like this above that featured in badge section. Something like Starling Studio was named Best Columbus Wedding Photographer in 2021 through 2024 by Columbus Weddings. So write it out in words so your search tools don't have to guess and can easily give that information to the person who is searching. All right, action number 3, you may either love or hate. So I want to prepare you for this, but I am really recommending this if you want to appeal to AI tools. And that is to consider sharing your pricing and package information on your website. Maybe not totally in depth and giving up everything, but some sort of pricing information starting at or range so that the AI search tools can help present that in the search results. On the screen right now, I want you to take a look at this because I thought this was fascinating when this came into the ChatGPT search results. I asked simply who were the top wedding planners in Austin, Texas. And not only did it give me names, but ChatGPT actually put together a comparison table for me to take a look at and try to understand the different options it was presenting. So it actually said the name of the planner, what they're good at, and their approximate price tier and notes. So even without me asking, ChatGPT is bringing in price information into this table and trying to help me as the user to figure out who might actually be in my price range. So I would assume if these businesses didn't have much price information, they may not be included in the table at all because ChatGPT is trying to be as helpful as possible. Now, I don't have big evidence of this, but my second point here is me guessing based on my knowledge of engaged couples' behavior. Budget is pretty important to a lot of couples. So I also expect that some engaged couples are putting their budget for a service into the initial search. My budget is X for wedding photography. Who's a fit? Something like that. And so again, if the AI tool doesn't know any idea or any information about your pricing, you may miss out on that information. You may miss out on that opportunity just because the information is not there. Here's one other thing that I saw that I thought was totally crazy. And I think it's really important as we think about appealing to AI tools. Sometimes your AI tool will even offer pricing estimates or ask the searcher their budget, even if they don't bring it up to start with. Remember that ChatGPT likes to keep the conversation going and provide more information. So in a recent search where I was asking about Columbus wedding photographers, it gave me some options. And then it asked me this: if you want, I can pull together 2 to 3 photographers, including their sample pricing estimates in Columbus for weddings with your scale. Do you want me to gather that? I don't know about you, but I don't think most people would be like, no, I don't really want exact pricing for weddings of my size. That doesn't seem helpful. Just skip that. I think most people would simply type in yes and expect that it will bring in pricing. So ChatGPT understands that couples are looking for pricing. Pricing is important to them, and that gets brought up a lot. So I would advise you to consider sharing some information about your pricing and packages. All right, tip number 4, and this is the first one where I am bringing up something that is off of your own website. All 3 of my first tips were about changes you can make to your own website, your information, to better give information to AI search tools. But as I told you at the beginning of today's presentation, ChatGPT and other tools are looking at a lot of sources and they are synthesizing information. So beyond your own website, AI tools are looking for where you're mentioned online and how often you're showing up in their source material. AI tools are taking in tons of information and they're looking for patterns. They're looking for things that come up often, and that gives these tools more confidence when they see a certain business show up often or the same advice repeated. So in step number 4, I really want to encourage you to work for online mentions beyond your own website. You can't just exist on your own website if you want to show up in traditional search or in an AI search, because of the way these tools are looking for so many different sources and bringing them all together to determine who's the most trusted. So, how often are you mentioned online beyond your own website? Are you on lists like the wedding venue map list of Orlando's wedding photographers? Make sure that you are working for more online mentions of your business, more links back to your website, and that's going to benefit you in all types of search tools. All right, those were my 4 tips for starting with GEO and getting found on AI search this year. I would love to know what you found helpful, and so I want to encourage you, please send me a DM at Sara Does SEO. Let me know you watched this presentation and let me know what thing you are going to start working on first. Let's take some action together and start getting found through AI tools. And if you're someone who likes to take action and really wants to go deeper with this, I want to invite you to my upcoming free training. This is at saradoesseo.com/training. We're going to talk about why the advice, just be visible and you'll book more clients, just isn't working today, and how it really creates overwhelm and burnout because you're not always focusing on the right things. I want to walk you through the simpler way to book aligned clients without burnout. This is coming up live. You can join a group of wedding professionals, and we are going to talk about some of the most effective strategies for marketing your business this year. It is probably easiest to lift your phone, scan the QR code that I've got on the screen right now. That will take you straight to the free training page where you can register for free. Again, thank you so much for pressing play on this video. I hope these basic tips will help you get started, and I would be so thrilled to help you take this to the next level. Talk to you soon.